This run shows exactly what happens when you start a 5K just a little too fast. Now, this week's not parkrun progress report comes from one of my marathon runners, a trail marathon runner called Pip, who did a benchmark 5K time trial to assess her current level of fitness. So we've got 3 mile splits and the remaining 170 meters that we'll look at here. And the headline is early overreach followed by progressive fade. The splits, which are all mile based, the first mile was 9:45, which is a 6:04 per kilometre. The second mile was 10:17, which is a 6:23 kilometre pace. And then the third mile was 11:14 or a 6:59 per kilometre. The final 170 metres is steady but slow. And this is a very clear pattern, a fast start, an immediate drop, and continued fade. That's a classic early pacing error. The pacing story, she was too fast relative to the effort she could sustain. That 9:45 opening mile stands out compared to what follows, an extra 32 seconds slower in mile 2, and then another 37 seconds slower again in mile 3. This tells us the opening pace was well above what she could sustain aerobically. And once that happens, the rest of the run becomes about managing fatigue. The heart rate tells an important story. The heart rate was 168 in the first mile, 167 beats per minute in the second, 165 in the third, and that final 170 meters was 164 beats per minute. This is very unusual for a 5K. Normally, we expect to see the heart rate rise progressively. Instead, it's flat to slightly decreasing. That suggests she went out relatively hard, couldn't maintain her output, and the body downregulated effort as the fatigue set in. This is not a pushing to the limit profile, it's a fatigue management profile. Her cadence gradually broke down under fatigue. 87 strides per minute in the first mile, 86 in the second, 84 in the third, and that final 170 meters, it was an average of 83 strides per minute. This is a key signal. Cadence dropping steadily tells us that the stride is shortening or slowing. Mechanics are becoming less efficient and fatigue is affecting movement. And this aligns perfectly with the pacing drop. The second to third mile transition, this is where this run really unravels, going from a 10:17 to 11:14. That's a significant drop. This isn't just pacing, this is an accumulated fatigue catching up and likely loss of rhythm, increased perceived effort, and reduced ability to maintain pace. The terrain is not a major factor. Yes, there is some undulation, 10 to 14 meters gained and lost per mile, but it's consistent across all miles. So it doesn't explain the progressive slowdown. The primary driver is still pacing and fatigue, not terrain. What this run really represents, this is not a failure. This is a very typical first benchmark from an athlete still learning pacing. It shows a willingness to push, good early intent, but limited experience in distributing effort. What it tells us about her starting point, this run highlights strong intent early, limited pacing awareness, fatigue resistance still developing, efficiency breaking down under load, but importantly, they're all highly trainable and easy to improve. The key learning from this run, she didn't run out of fitness. She spent it too early, and that's the core takeaway. Why this is actually a great starting point is because this type of run gives you a clear baseline, as well as a clear weakness, her pacing, and a clear opportunity for improvement. And when that improves, the time drops quickly. This is what happens when effort is front-loaded. The body spends the rest of the run trying to recover. This whole run is best described as a front-loaded 5K with progressive fatigue and a clear pacing inefficiency, providing a perfect baseline for improvement. So that was part one, a strong effort, but one clear pacing mistake that cost time across the run. In part two, we're going to look at what happens when that pacing is fixed and how that leads to a significantly faster result without needing more fitness. If you'd like me to break down your own park run or 5K like this, pacing, effort, and exactly where you can improve, you can apply for your own park run progress report at the link below. I'll see you in part 2.